Welcome to the Fantasy Show. My name is Matthew Barry. We are the not ready for basic cable players. You know, the difference in real football versus fantasy may be no more evident than this, where real football talk is dominated by things like, where will Colin Kaepernick sign? Fantasy football is all excited about the Washington Post, reporting that it looks like the Redskins have a starting running back. And it's not rookie Samaje Perine, as everyone thought. That's right, Fat Rob Kelly is going to be the starter this year. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant is going to continue to be the starter. Don't fight it. Fat Rob may not be a sexy pick, although I truly think his hair is beautiful. I have hair envy. But a starting running back on a high-scoring offense is nothing to sneeze at. 20 touches a game is 20 touches, and he can do some nice things with those touches. Last year, Kelly, after taking over the starter's role, was 9th in rushing yards and tied for 9th in touchdowns in the National Football League. He was also 10th in yards after contact per rush. He is a grinder. And he also doesn't fumble, something Coach Gruden loves. Second half of last year, Rob Kelly, the 15th best running back in fantasy, and he was even higher in non-PPR. All that, and yet fantasy owners are so busy buying Samaje Perine fatheads that Kelly's ADP was slipping all the way to the 11th round. It's just the latest example of what fantasy players do all the time. Drives me crazy. They have such recency bias that they tend to overvalue new names over established players. Have people learned nothing from Derrick Henry last year? We were all so impressed by Henry in the preseason. Everyone let DeMarco Murray go way too low, and then they overdrafted Derrick Henry, who did nothing. Meanwhile, DeMarco Murray finished with the 5th most fantasy points from the running back position. I know, everyone's all gaga over Kareem Hunt in Kansas City, but Spencer Ware, who's being drafted outside the top 20 at running back, will be the starter in week 1. I love Hunt, but come on. I know, Frank Gore is old, I get it. But he's going in the 7th round and will still get the bulk of the carries in Indy for an offense that should be a lot better. And I get it, I know Matt Forte isn't what he once was and everyone's all, Bilal Powell. But Matt Forte isn't going away. He's still gonna get double-digit touches, if not more. And he's going in the 11th round, he's basically free. More unsexy running backs that are going late and still have value? How about Jeremy Hill or Thomas Rawls? Both of them have been very productive running backs in the NFL. Look, I like Samaje Perine as much as you do, trust me. But remember the case of Derrick Henry last year. Don't ignore the boring guy who actually has the job for the sexier sleeper who doesn't. Now, while Rob Kelly is the big news in fantasy football, the big news today in real football remains Ryan Tannehill's injury status. Dolphins are waiting to see how his knee recovers, but season-ending surgery is an option on the table. That would be tough news for the Dolphins, but fantasy owners might think Matt Moore is actually a step up from Tannehill based on his 17.6 fantasy points per game in his 3 starts last year. That was better than Tannehill's 14.6. But look a little closer, okay? Matt Moore actually threw a touchdown on 9.2% of his passes, which would have put him number 1 in the league for that rate. Okay, and a healthy margin above the number 2 quarterback, Matt Ryan, 7.1%, and more than double the league average of 4.3. So yes, he was very good in those 3 games, but can he sustain it? No, there's obvious regression coming. I have Ryan Tannehill as QB 26 this year. I don't see Matt Moore being much better, or even worse, if he ends up being the starter. I've lowered my Dolphins receiver ranks just a tad, but not that much. They should do about the same with Matt Moore under center. Now, I know I told you at the top of the show yesterday that last night's Cowboys-Cardinals preseason opener had 0 fantasy implications, but...
Hey, it's me, the Bear of Bad News. I'm a bear, get it?
I do get it. Hi, Bear. How are you?
I'm doing well, Barry. Here's the bad news.
Okay.
You, my friend, have to talk about Blaine Gabbert, so stop burying the lead. Hey, I'll be here all week. The beard loves it.
Yeah, sure. What do we even... I don't even know what we're doing here sometimes. All right. So sure, I'll talk about Blaine Gabbert. Blaine Gabbert, who went 11 for 14 for 185 yards against second and third stringers on Thursday night in an early August game. Probably means nothing. Mostly nothing. You know what? All right. There is one thing about Gabbert's performance last night that I like. He showed he could actually be capable of keeping Arizona's offense running if something were to happen to 37-year-old Carson Palmer again. That's actually some nice peace of mind if you draft Larry Fitzgerald or John Brown. Who said I couldn't find fantasy relevance in that game? Secret Scroll, was it you?
It was me.
I knew it. I knew it was. All right, from Arizona receivers to a Titans receiver that has a lot of fantasy owners excited this year. That's rookie Cory Davis. Now, he's currently going in the 11th round, but that's the same as his teammate, veteran Eric Decker and Adam Thielen, and ahead of number 1 wide receivers like Kenny Britt and Jeremy Maclin. A little pricey for me. As much as I love Davis in Dynasty, there's definite risk in counting on production from Davis early on. And that risk only increased on Thursday when he injured a hamstring at practice. Now he's likely to miss valuable practice time, and he was already going to be limited by Tennessee's run-heavy offense. We expect them to open up more this year, but not that much. This is a team that ran the ball 47% of the time last year, third most in the league. And they had only one receiver, Rashard Matthews, who was in the top 72 for the position. And don't forget, Marcus Mariota likes throwing to Delanie Walker, whose 97 targets was 6th among tight ends. So in addition to Walker, plus you've got Rashard Matthews, Eric Decker now gives Mariota some nice big red zone targets, not named Cory Davis. Hopefully Davis is fine and he's going to be an asset to the Titans, but for folks in redraft leagues, this injury is a reminder to draft Davis as a high upside flyer, but not a cornerstone of your team. Now let's go back to a receiver being drafted after Cory Davis, frankly, well after Cory Davis, Tyrell Williams. Tyrell Williams has an ADP of 136. He's going as wide receiver 57. What are you people doing here? 6'4" and fast. Do you understand how much of a stud Tyrell Williams was last year? Averaging 13.6 fantasy points per game overall. He was the 22nd best wide receiver in fantasy. But what if you take out his 2 games against the Broncos? Because let's face it, you're not starting him against the Broncos anyway. Well, then he averaged 15 fantasy points per game, which would have been wide receiver 13, just ahead of Michael Crabtree. Now, obviously, Keenan Allen was out last year, so Allen is now back. You've got the emergence of Hunter Henry. Tyrell's target share is going to go down, but that's okay. We don't need him to be wide receiver 15 again. I just need him to be better than wide receiver 57, which is where he's going in round 14. With the Mike Williams injury news, Tyrell's draft stock is going to go up, but not nearly enough. I'm in on Tyrell Williams, especially anywhere near his current draft price. All right, Secret Squirrel, what say you? Shall I save you a seat on the Tyrell Williams bandwagon? I've got room right here.
You shall not save me a seat on that bandwagon, sir.
Are you sure?
I am positive. I'm not as high.
We have punch and pie.
That actually sounds nice. I am not nearly as high on Williams as you are. I do think that he should be higher than what he is, but Keenan Allen coming back, and he was just a target monster last year. Hunter Henry, another year under his bolt.
I get it. I'm with you. Yeah, nice.
Joke. Okay. Melvin Gordon is like a legit running back. There's so many people there that I just don't think that he's going to be nearly as fantasy relevant as last year. But like you said, wide receiver 57, way too late. So where should he be going in drafts?
I think probably about 20 picks, wide receiver 37, wide receiver 4. I think he's a wide receiver 4 with some upside. Again, He is 6'4", he's fast, he's a young player, but really grew into the role last year, and Philip Rivers trusts him. That's the hugest thing. And they're going to have somebody out there. And that assumes, by the way, that Keenan Allen stays healthy this entire year.
Obviously.
Obviously, no guarantee there. We're hoping for it, but you never know with Keenan. So I'm excited about Tyrell Williams, especially at his price point. That's the digital show for today, but guess what? We've got a TV show eventually. That's right. We will debut on television August 16th on ESPN, the Big Boy Network. You heard me. 3 p.m. Eastern on ESPN August 16th. And then after that, we'll be daily at 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Me, Secret Squirrel, and a bear. It's like I'm in a farm or something. Wish us luck.